Hi everyone, Dark Ramos here with the Volume Profile Nerd, and welcome to my trade review for May 8th, 2023. It is a Monday, so I'll quickly jump into what I was looking at this morning. First, I'll take a look at ES and some of the levels that I was looking at. So we have this range here from, let me turn off the magnet, from February 1st through February 17th, and we were opening just above it, I believe, or above the value area low of this range, and there was a more local range right here. And just so it's a bit more visible, I'll go ahead and hide this previous range. So if we look at this more local range from March 31st through April 13th, this was telling a good story. So on the morning, we were just testing the value area high of this range. And so I thought either sellers wanted to get down here to this POC or to this value, or to this POC from that range that I just mentioned from back here. So it turned out to be not that much of a volatile day. We did have a pullback initially, but then bounced from there. So these are the levels I was looking at on ES. On the hourly, we also had some levels. We just stayed within this 420, 425 range from back here on ES, and just stayed within it today. So just kind of a responsive day, playing off the upper ends of this balance that would have worked out well. And so yeah, that's what I was looking at on ES. On NQ, we had some daily levels here. NQ was a bit clearer, so I'm using this range from way back here from let's see, April 25th through May 6th of 2022. And there are some other local ranges after that, but I'm just using that range since I feel like a lot of volume was traded there, and using that as a reference and seeing how, sellers kind of rejected from the value area low a few times. We couldn't quite get above it. So to me, if sellers get above it, we could be looking to try to get to this POC up here at 13,475.50. So that's what I was looking at. I think on the morning, we were just above the value area low here, and I thought if we get acceptance above, buyers want to get to this POC. And on the hourlies, we did have some hourly ranges. Basically we held the value area high of this range back here, this March 31st through April 5th range, and we got above this recent balance here, and held it later in the day. And we had this value area high here from, I know I'm going way back here. This value area high is from August 22nd through August 26th. So back here, and we couldn't find acceptance above it. Initially pulled back and tested it again, pulled back again, but now we're holding the value area high of this range. So yeah, I know those are a lot of words. If you haven't checked out my first videos, check those out, where I talk about how I kind of sequence with volume profile, my influences, and how I go about it. And shout out to TCG, that's the trading community I'm a part of. But yeah, so yeah, that's what I was looking at this morning. And basically on both ES and NQ, the other main thing for me today was, if we look at at Friday's session, we had this balance here that pretty much set the POC for Friday. So this balance on ES and on NQ, I'm looking at the 1 minute, that balance was right here on NQ. So I thought if sellers are going to prove something, they have to get through this range here, which, was the point of control and was a nice sideways range on Friday. And so I thought that would be a really nice reference to see if sellers could get through there, and it could be a nice trade location for a long. So yeah, that's what I had set up. I drew out these ranges on ES and NQ, and initially where did we open? On ES, it was over here. Okay, I marked up the open here. Okay, so we opened, yeah. So initially on ES and NQ, we opened above yesterday's value. So we opened, above yesterday's value, or Friday's value, excuse me. So I thought goal for buyers was to stay above the open and tag the overnight high and regular trading hours high. And so on NQ, if we take a look at what that looks like, we opened right here, and let's see, the value area high. Yeah, we did open above yesterday's value as well. So I believe yesterday's value, where's the value? Okay, no, on NQ, NQ was relatively weaker, opening below yesterday's value, which was up here. So we were opening below it, and we could tell that sellers were playing defense at the value area high, because the value area high is what set the overnight high for the overnight session. So to me, that was sellers playing defense at the value area high. We did get lower value, but we couldn't get below the POC. Again, there's this range from Friday. We couldn't get below the POC, and then we bounced from there. So yeah, it felt like some good clues, pretty nice technical day, I would say. I just felt like I had clarity with, this range here and the POC of Friday. And so, drew all that up. I drew up these little ranges that, got set on the way up on Friday. And I drew up this little range on ES that kind of, we held it in the overnight session here. Or no, we actually held it during the regular trading hour session, kind of oscillated around there. The morning XLF and XLV were weaker, and I kind of took note of that. XLV was just mostly sideways most of the day, but XLF was pulling back, and so I knew that if I was gonna look for a long, it would be on NQ, and if I was to look for a short, it would be on ES. So that was pretty much the gist of my morning rundown. I did, when I did the day time frame references, I did use some ranges, coincided it with, found confluence with it with some of the daily and hourly ranges, and that just helped kind of shape a story or tell a story for the day of where buyers and sellers should be trying to get to. Let me jump into the trades I took. Let me look at the daily here. So we can see on NQ, we essentially, if we go to the 5 minute here, we tried to get, or we couldn't find acceptance under the 425.56 range. So we oscillated around here. We held, that range from Friday, and then we bounced from there. So I was just seeing if sellers would get acceptance under here and to tag this value area high of this 330, 425 range here. And what I noted was, let's see. So I'll go over the trades I took basically. So I was using this initial range from Friday that set the POC of Friday. And I don't normally do this. I've done it before, and I'm trying to do less of it. But to me, it felt like a good play, and I was using the micros. So I decided to put on the risk with the micros. I felt like I just felt like I could put on the risk using the micros and not the minis. And so one of the things I sometimes do is if there's a nearby range, and I feel like buyers could hold it or sellers, I'll scale in one at the value area high, one at the POC, and one at the value area low. And then I'll set up my trade something like, I'll draw out the date and price range, if I can grab it here, and I'll set it up like this. And then I'll bring out my long box, and for me, I would have been putting on 11 points per contract. And let's say I was using 4 contracts, that would be on micros, that would be about, 40 points or 44 points on micros, which I can take that risk on 4 contracts. So because I like that range and I like the tempo of the morning, it didn't seem like sellers were getting a lot of tempo. I wanted to take this play, and if we look at the hourlies at the time that I took this trade, at that time we were approaching the value area high of this 331.45 range, and I thought if we hold that, we could maybe head to this POC, which we did, and we headed up even higher to this value area high from a previous range before. So that was the thesis for my play. So basically I scaled in a little bit too early. I think I marketed in. I didn't place a buy limit here, just marketed in near the value area high here. Got 2 contracts here, and then I got 1 more contract at the POC. I would have gotten 1 more contract down here, which we did get to here, but I kind of fumbled this play. So 2 contracts here, 1 contract here. I sold 2 contracts here. I meant to only sell 1, but I sold 2 up here. And I meant to let this one ride to, my target was this POC, which was at 13,304. And my target was 13,298. I like to front run it. And so that would have been my final target for the last contract. But I accidentally sold the last contract here right before the overnight low. And I could have left it to the overnight low. That would have been a better fill for that at 13,287. I cut it at 13,282, I think, accidentally. I think I meant to cut just 1 contract here and then let the other contract ride. But sold all the contracts here, and that was a small win, about 25 points on the micros. And so, I knew for me it was like sometimes on Mondays it takes me a moment to like catch my bearings, and I'm still working on Mondays because I end up sometimes doing things like this, which I have to improve on. But that was my first trade. A decent win on 3 contracts. And my next play, so I was watching NQ, and I was watching that we couldn't quite get acceptance above the overnight low. And I told myself, and we couldn't get acceptance back into this range from 428.52. So it's from, recently. And we couldn't get acceptance back into the range. We oscillated below it. And I told myself, if we get below the POC, I'm going to enter short off the back test of the POC. And we were also oscillating under the value area low of this daily range. So we held it here, and we were oscillating below it of the 425.56 range. And I told myself, if we get below the POC, I'm going to look for a short under this POC. So, from the range from Friday, right? From this range. So we did get under it. And as soon as we got under it here, so we got under it. And as soon as we got under it, I looked for the sell near the POC, and I got filled. Wasn't a great fill. I got filled at 13,262, and the POC was a couple points higher. So I could have set a limit, but I just felt like we could, 1 minute lower high to head to the value area low here. And that would at least give me enough to get risk free in case we held it and then bounced. But buyers just, oscillated around the POC, and then we found acceptance above the POC, and that set the low for the day right here. So I wasn't mad at this play. I thought it was fairly reasonable, but given tempo of, I could have waited for tempo to pick up a bit more for the sellers, and I thought it did a little bit here. But given that, if we're holding this range, if buyers are still holding it, then they're still pretty good, right? If we did something like this, maybe that would have been a better sell. But at this point, we're still holding this range. We're holding we couldn't even get to the value area low here, which showed that buyers, kind of were in the mix. So for me, it's just getting better at reading the tempo and maybe waiting for sellers to prove it a little bit more below this range to then go on the offensive with the sell, and yeah, so I just got caught thinking that sellers were proving more. But I'm not mad at this play. Maybe again I could have just waited for this here. Waited for sellers to convincingly break this range, to then look for that. And I could have gone for the sell on ES. So at this point, 936, ES was 936. No, ES was finding a low as well. So yeah, but if I was looking for the sell, I think it could have been on ES, but the sell, the play I felt presented itself on NQ at the time. So yeah, going to keep that in mind a bit more, just playing, looking for that relative strength and weakness. But as soon as we held this POC and we got above this range from Friday, that's when I kind of felt that that I could take the long. So, I drew up the range from this morning. Let me see if I can bring it back. So we had this range from the morning, and I just drew it out. And I thought, we could at least get to the POC. So once I saw that we got above this range from Friday, I marketed in, and I sold half pretty quickly under the POC here. So got 4 contracts here, sold half about 5 points in, close to this POC. Then I sold another contract close to the overnight low right up here. And my stop would have been, I think I placed my stop under the value area low here at 13,268. So I felt like, I was pretty risk-free because I only needed about 5 points to get risk-free to set my stop at 13,268. So set my stop here. And I'm pretty sure that's where I set my stop. I sold another contract near the value area high here and under the overnight low of this range. And I'll just draw out this range because it came into play really well. So draw it out here in the POC. So sold another contract near under the overnight low. And my last contract, again, looking at this hourly POC at 13,304 right here from the 425. What is it? 428. Excuse me. 428.52. So at 13,305, and I just front ran it. I said if we get to 13,298 under 13,300 psychological, then I'll exit the trade. And I had a little balance here from also Friday. So I had that little balance, and initially we were rejecting from it. And so once I saw that we were rejecting from it, I didn't want to really take chances. And so I cut the trade. We got almost to 13,298, not quite. It would have been close to the open. And we didn't quite get there. We rejected from this little range from Friday. And so I cut the trade at 13,292.50. 13,292.50 there. Right here. So that was a nice trade. And I think overall I ended up with 22 micro points, I want to say. It was around 22. So overall, not a bad day. 22 points is great. I'll definitely take that. And so kind of like those plays there. I could have left a runner because I had good trade location and could have benefited. We got all the way to the regular trading hours high. We did have a liquidation break, but then got into the regular trading hours high, and that would have netted me, another 57 points. So, could have left one contract to ride, but again, I'm not here for, really long plays. If I get 20 to 50 points on one move, then that makes my day. So that's all good. But just to showcase how this morning balance here came into play, we held the POC pretty much to the tick once we pulled back under the overnight low. And then that's when we got another bounce. So this would have been a nice trade as well. This would have been like a 5-minute higher low. And after that, we got the move going to the regular trading hours high on NQ. So yeah, the other play I was looking at, but I was, doing a few other things. ES was a lot weaker, couldn't really find acceptance above the open, and that's due to XLF and XLV. They weren't showing a lot of strength. But this play off the open on ES was really nice. At this point, this was at 1303, and at 1303, NQ was approaching its regular trading hours high. So I thought, that was a really nice play on ES, getting more than 10 points on that. That's like 15 points on ES, or 14, or more than that, 44. Oh no, that's way more. 44. Yeah, like 16 points on this liquidation break here. But then we held the value area high, couldn't quite get to the value area high of the range from Friday. And then we bounced from there also on ES, got back to the open. But yeah, ES was relatively weaker, just sideways. And again, due to kind of XLF and XLV weakness, and NQ kind of, was the stronger sector today. But it balanced out SPY, I would say, because, we had the two weaker sectors, but NQ held up pretty well and did get to its regular trading hours high. So relative strength and weakness did shift there, where NQ, initially ES was a bit stronger above its value area high at the open. Yeah, it was above its value area high at the open, and NQ was below it, but then NQ got above, while ES for most of the morning stayed below it and then got a bit above it later in the day. So yeah, that was my trading day today. After 11 Eastern, I don't really trade, but I do have a pocket in there where I might trade maybe in the afternoon for maybe 30 minutes to an hour to see if anything presents itself. But yeah, that was my trading day. Hopefully, let me pause it for a sec. Hopefully that was clear. I know I went over a lot with the daily ranges there and the hourlies. But this is my morning prep. This is how I prep for it. I look at, where are we relative to Friday's value? Where are we relative to different day time frame references? Are we above Friday's value or yesterday's value? Are we within it? Are we within yesterday's range? Are we below yesterday's value? And that helps me paint a picture along with the daily time frame references and the hourlies to see, what buyers and sellers are trying to do. And, then I look at the shorter term time frames and tempo on the day, and that starts painting a picture for me for, where I want to potentially look for a trade and, where I want my target to be. And shout out to Lamont, who I've learned, who's basically my teacher. Everything I'm teaching now, I've learned from him. I have my little nuances that I've picked up just from observing and, working with this method. But he'll always say, like, have a target first before you put on the trade, and that's how I like to trade, to have a target in mind before putting on the trade, and that way I know where my entry is and where I'm looking to exit. So kind of long-winded. Let me know if you have any questions about anything I went over. I do think I will get better at communicating this method and kind of being more concise with it as time goes on. But yeah, just wanted to do my trade review for today. Thanks everyone for watching, and I'll see you in the next trade review. Thank you.